Redditors who have caught their so cheating on them without them catching on. How did you respond? She started by confessing that he kissed her while they were watching movies at his place. I voiced my assumption that she would stop hanging out with him after that. But she got mad and defensive and refused. When I look back, there's no question that's the moment my marriage ended. I loved her. So we did the dance for a few weeks. She promised to stop talking to him. Started spending an awful lot of time going for drives. One night, she fell asleep in her car. Another night, she was at the airport having a Cinnabon at 3:30 am. The capstone came when she was out having dinner with her sister while I stayed home with the baby. I opened up a laptop to order a pizza and found her browser pointed to real estate websites. Oh lovely. They're shopping for a house together. How quaint. Well, time to put a stop to this. I called her sister. Hey. Wife's phone battery must be dead. Can you hand her the phone? Pretty straightforward. And her response wasn't at all surprising. Huh? What do you mean? She's not here. Oh sorry. I must have mixed up my days. Have a good night. Click. So I called up my wife and made idle chat. How was dinner? How's sister? How's sister's boyfriend? Hope the traffic wasn't too bad. I let her lie to me for a couple minutes. When she asked what I was up to, I said me? Oh. I'm packing your things. I called your sister. And you're not there. It's time for you to come home. That was the second of 3 times I kicked her out before it finally stuck. Happily divorced 7 years. My first marriage caught him via an obvious breadcrumb trail of late nights plus long cell phone conversations seen on the bill. I responded by telling him I knew that I didn't want to hear any bullshit excuses. And he was to end it immediately in one last phone call to her or we were done. 8 years married at that point. I gave him 6 months and he still hadn't put her away. So I hit the lawyer and Jim it up. Honestly, I was a little relieved to have an excuse to leave him. Our daughter says he still talks about how much he regrets losing me. He's been remarried 5 years. What an asshole. After confirming my suspicion, I put his phone back in his bag. Woke him up. Asked him where he was last night and he straight up told me the truth by saying, with her. I told him to get up. Get out. And so he did. I've been suspicious for months but put it out of my head because the homewrecker was a supposed close friend of mine. Went on right under my nose both before and after our wedding. She snuck off during my bachelorette party to hook up with him. Finally I just read his texts and it was all laid out right there like a shitty romance novel. Confronted him and he was pretty nasty to me. If he had any right, but I wanted to keep my hands clean during the whole ordeal so I kept it short and civilized. Like Hugo Brolin said, the only revenge is living well. The divorce was smooth after a whopping month of being married. And now I'm happier than I've ever been. Edit. Formatting. I drove off. Went to where they both worked. Since I had left my car there earlier that day. Saw them making out in her car. All I could do was stare for a few seconds and had to will myself to just leave. It was the moment I knew I lost her for good. We haven't talked since. It's been 3 months. I sat him down and told him we needed to have a discussion about trust and honesty. That we needed to be open to each other for the sake of our relationship. I told him that if there was anything he wanted to tell me, he could do it now and I wouldn't be angry. He confessed to cheating and then showed me the texts he sent her about how he never wanted it to happen again and how he'd rather cut all contact with her for the sake of his relationship. I appreciated it. And we worked out our relationship after that. I think being rational and calm about it all made it alright. While my girlfriend showered, she invited me to watch Netflix on her computer to keep myself occupied. Google Chrome displays your frequently viewed pages when you open it up. One of hers was the Craigslist personal ads. English was her second language so it was pretty easy to find her ad when I got home that night. I replied. She wrote back, then we texted back and forth with my burner phone. I suggested a rendezvous at an upscale bar overlooking Puget Sound. I got there 10 minutes early. Showed the bartender a picture of my cheating girlfriend, then tipped him a 20 and told him to bring her out a pina colada when she arrived. Oh. And make sure you give her this too. I had bought an MP3 player and loaded it with Escape, the Pina Colada song. He broke up with me shortly thereafter but never alluded to my ruse. My wife asked me to walk her mom through some computer stuff and handed me her phone. Heard the text message alert hit before we hung up and casually checked it when I got off the phone with her mom. Message said, "So, you love me now?" It was from her boss. I went mentally numb. Didn't mention it right away and waited for her to fall asleep. Got her phone, tried to open it and surprised there was a lock code. Woke her up and asked her for her lock code. Told her my phone had died and I wanted to play a game we were both playing. She immediately wakes up and starts in on how she knew I was going to do this and starts telling me how paranoid I am. She nuts out on me and calls her mom to let her know I am a lunatic and accusing her of all kinds of things. Which I have not done yet. But now I'm pretty sure what's up. I tell her to go ahead and prove that I am crazy and put in her lock code and see who is the lunatic or who the cheater is. She puts the code in and several more messages from the boss pop in. Turns out she was the cheater after all. There were signs but I tricked myself into ignoring them earlier. I left that night and never even thought about going back. My wife left a few months ago. In hindsight, I think she was having an online affair with an old boyfriend that she decided to turn into a real relationship. I guess I didn't really do anything directly in response. She was gone by the time I admitted to myself what was going on. But recognizing what was going on helped me move from I'm a horrible husband who wrecked my marriage to she was a horrible wife who walked away from a good marriage as soon as times got tough, and it's helping me feel not the slightest bit of guilt as I fight to protect myself during the divorce proceedings. I was always the wage earner. And at this point, if the divorce leaves her penniless and homeless, I don't really give her. She made her bed. Truth to be told, I put a lot more into the marriage than I ever got back from it. So good riddance. After a year or more of suspicion and shady behavior, his ruse was blown when a friend of mine who also knew the other woman, she was hearing both sides and deduced we were talking about the same dude. Arranged for both of us to meet at her house, explain our stories and figure out he was playing us. I ended up calling him and telling him I was standing there in the same room W's. He hung up on me. It's been done ever since and caused a lot of heartache for both us. It took me a while to heal from that.